Now let's see. John, understand you collect baseball cards.
Yes.
Gosh, how many do you have in your collection?
I don't know, about 200.
About 200. And how long did it take you to accumulate a collection that size?
About 3 years.
About 3 years. Wow, that's an awesome collection. Your partner there, Sarah, likes to hang out at the mall. Now, what do you do while you're just hanging at the mall, Sarah?
Well, check out guys and spend money.
Check out the dudes and spend the cash. Your cash or like parents' cash?
Mine.
Hey,
Zebra, zip code, and zipper.
let's take a look. Well, that's it, yeah. Name the type of orange that sounds like a belly button. Yes, red team.
Navel orange.
Navel it is. Yeah, there you are. The time left, you will go and battle Scortia in the wizard level. Now, for each level you get past, you will get a great prize. For each item you pick up, you will get $50. Here is your...
Hi guys, welcome to Parawomenradio. I'm Amy. Who was Sarah Boone before she became the queen of suitcases and mega pints of wine? Well, that's a valid question. I distinctly remember asking during her sentencing, where in the heck is Sarah's family? And who the heck are they even? Well, that led me down this rabbit hole today, trying to uncover the mystery of who Sarah Boone's farm was before she even became Sarah Boone. So buckle up, folks, because we're diving headfirst into Sarah Boone's burn book to unravel the enigma that is Sarah Boone before she became the suitcase-wielding Sarah we all know and despise when she was Sarah Paulson. Spoiler alert, Sarah did do a little TV work on Nickelodeon, as you can see. Do you think she got slimed? Well, let's jump into today's day 11 of Livemas 2024, where we are bringing you a live event a day leading up to Christmas. I'm going to roll some credits while we wait for the rest of the power crew to roll in. Shout out to my dragonflies and my replay crew. You know I love you. Guys, welcome to Parawomenradio. I'm Amy.
Carefully strumming his old guitar again. Words rolling out into our fire. If heaven had wings out to you, then I'd fly away with you for a while. Hearing the essence of gratitude, your dreamy little smile on my lips. I miss my cue, but baby, I had you. Miss my cue, but I had you for that day. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep into you.
Now let's see. John, understand you collect baseball cards.
Yes.
Gosh, how many do you have in your collection?
I don't know, about 200.
About 200. And how long did it take you to accumulate a collection that size?
About 3 years.
About 3 years. Wow, that's an awesome collection. Your partner there, Sarah, likes to hang out at the mall. Now, what do you do while you're just hanging at the mall, Sarah?
Well, check out guys and spend money.
Check out the dudes and spend the cash. Your cash or like parents' cash?
Mine.
Hey,
Zebra, zip code, and zipper.
let's take a look. Well, that's it, yeah. Name the type of orange that sounds like a belly button. Yes, red team.
Navel orange.
Navel it is. Yeah, there you are. The time left, you will go and battle Scortia in the wizard level. Now, for each level you get past, you will get a great prize. For each item you pick up, you will get $50. Here is your...
Okay, so you can see Sarah Boone did a little TV work before she did her trial TV work. So this wasn't her 5 minutes of fame. This was like her extended 5 minutes of fame. Like this was her grand finale, this trial, I would say. So I really was super curious about who Sarah Boone was, and because I had heard she had a brother, and I had heard that her parents had possibly passed away, but I didn't know what was going on. So today we're going to dive down that rabbit hole of who Sarah Boone was before this trial, before the suitcases, before the mega pints of wine, who was Sarah Boone and who was the family surrounding Sarah Boone. We're also going to take a quick peek at Jorge Torres at the end, his family, during the trial, and they did a little interview with News Nation, and we're going to look at that. I'm fighting a migraine today. It's raining here, and we just had a huge thunder and lightning storm. So I don't expect this one to be super long, but I say that, and then it manages to go an hour or so. So who knows? Who knows what we're going to get today? But oh yeah, that was Miss Sarah Boone. We'll be looking at it again throughout the show. But okay, so let me get my screen together and be sure to start that algorithm dance party that I like to do. Just start warming up your fingers and dancing them right up to the hearts and thumbs up button. Today we're coming to you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Hi, everyone. Whatever platform you're on, if you could give us a thumbs up. This is day 11 of our Livemas. We go live every single day leading up to Christmas. And then on New Year's Eve and New Year's, we will do a 24-hour live. And I've decided this year, last year our 24-hour live was on the Watts case. This year it's going to be on the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case, of course. So you'll get 24 hours of Gypsy Rose on New Year's Eve, starting at noon on New Year's Eve and go till noon on New Year's Day. So, woohoo! Hi, Rebrand. How are you doing? Good morning. Today we have Heaven Lee as our chat moderator. So she will be welcoming you. And yeah, away we go. Thank you. Yes. Triple tap it. Don't double tap it, because if you double tap it, then you give me a like and then you take the like away. So then you got to do it one more time and give me a triple. Okay. So Danielle, the way that we work it here is we tell a story by grabbing various things off the internet. We'll use other people's content. We'll use stories. We'll talk over things. We'll read things. We'll speed them up. We'll slow them down. But we put the links to everything we view during our lives in our YouTube show notes. And we do this for fair play use. And yeah, so, and we love supporting smaller channels. And Danielle Siobhan has been doing a really good job on covering Sarah Boone. And this is who I found. First, I found she had done this Nickelodeon game show when she was 18 years old, Sarah Boone. And I found it over on Danielle's channel. And she actually has quite a very interesting video on who Sarah Boone was before the wine and the suitcase.
Let's deep dive into who Sarah Boone was before the Woodbridge Magnum bottles of wine and Samsonite suitcase. Who was Sarah before the headlines? Before she famously recorded her boyfriend trapped in a suitcase as she sat on the couch telling him how stupid he was for the world to see. Sarah Boone, born Sarah Paulson, was born in Atlanta, Georgia, in a middle-class family with two brothers. Sarah and her siblings seemed to have a pretty good upbringing, playing sports, attending church, and they all eventually graduated from Edgewater High School in Georgia. Her eldest brother went on to the military. However, Sarah and her brother John.
Okay, so, and this content creator is going to tell us a little bit about her brothers. Sorry, my screen's stuck, so I'm going to take us back to the beginning.
To see. Sarah Boone, born Sarah Paulson, was born in Atlanta, Georgia, in a middle-class family with two brothers. Sarah and her siblings seemed to have a pretty good upbringing, playing sports, attending church, and they all eventually graduated from Edgewater High School in Georgia. Her eldest brother went on to the military. However, Sarah and her brother John had more sinister futures ahead. Sarah Boone's brother, John Tyler Paulson, would embark on a criminal career that eventually led him to be placed on the National Offender List. John was allegedly dating and living with a minor female age 16. During this time, the minor female expressed fear, threats, abuse, and being introduced to hard drugs from John sounds very similar to his sister Sarah in her relationship with George. At 18, Sarah Paulson appeared on national television on a Nickelodeon game show, where her then bubbly personality was front and center.
Red team, John and Sarah, say hey! Now let's see, John, understand you collect baseball cards.
Yes.
Gosh, how many do you have in your collection?
I don't know, about 200,
About 200. And how long did it take you to accumulate a collection that size?
about 3 years.
About 3 years. Wow, that's an awesome collection. So your partner there, Sarah, likes to hang out at the mall. Now, what do you do while you're just hanging at the mall, Sarah?
Well, check out guys and spend money.
Check out the dudes and spend the cash. Your cash or like parents' cash?
Mine.
Hey,
Zebra, zip code, and zipper.
let's take a look. Well, that's it, yeah. Name the type of orange that sounds like a belly button. Yes, red team.
Navel orange.
Navel it is. Yeah, there you are. The time left, you will go and battle Scotia in the wizard level. Now, for each level you get past, you will get a great prize. For each item you pick up, you will get $50. Here is your challenge.
Sarah was always competitive, which may have developed into something a bit more sadistic. Let's hear how Sarah described herself to Detective Scott and Chelsea the day after her victim was found in the suitcase deceased.
I am not sure about Sarah's bond hearing. There was something that happened with that. She wrote a letter. It was the first judge, so I'm drawing a blank. But there was something that happened with her bond hearing. Like, there was a reason. But she wrote about it in her letter, like she didn't get one or something. Don't remember. Unless I'm thinking of another trial recently that they complained about not getting a bond or something. I want to think that something did happen with the bond. I'm not sure though.
No, I was just simply asking because you had a look on your face when she asked you if you've ever done that before. You looked kind of shocked and.
No.
Okay, why did you say it like that? Like.
I don't think you all understand who I am. Where.
Okay. Well, tell me.
I mean, I've always been a straight A student. I am an outstanding mother to my son.
Okay.
I excel at everything. I would not do that.
You wouldn't lock somebody in a suitcase?
We now know Sarah viciously beat her victim and caused his
I think the thing is that Sarah didn't get a bond because it was quite evident who unalived Jorge. I mean, she was the person who did it. And so I think the judge was like, well, how are you going to get a bond when you did it? You know, you did it. So I think that's what happened with the bond, but I'm not sure.
demise. She even provided video evidence of the crime. However, she can't see why people won't just believe her sleepy story. After all, she was the victim here. She was being tricked by the system, according to her. When Sarah Paulson was 25, she met and married Brian Boone. They went on to have a bouncing baby boy named Lucas. It was after his birth, Brian said Sarah started to change drastically and began heavily drinking. Brian came from an upper-class family and was able to support Sarah financially after losing both her parents. They went on to...
Brian came from an upper-class family, and I distinctly remember reading through some paperwork or somebody testified to the fact that Sarah was like, he's rich. He doesn't even have to work for his money. And she like resented him for having money, yet she lived off of him. Just typical Sarah.
Purchase a home and start a life together. However, filed for divorce due to Sarah's manipulation, angry outbursts, physical assaults, and alcoholism. Sarah would hang out at the bar across the street from their home daily, having good days as she called them, neglecting Lucas, Brian, and the home they built together. And eventually she met George, another functioning alcoholic who she testified was her soulmate. Sarah and George had mostly drinking in common. After Brian caught them cheating, he finalized their divorce, and Sarah received a car, $1,000 monthly spousal support, as well as child support for Lucas. Sarah was now...
So Sarah started going out across the bar, drinking. She started having an affair with George. They broke up. Sarah was getting $1,000 a month from Brian, and she had a vehicle. Yeah.
The head of household and in charge. George was her pet project. She was able to control George in ways she couldn't control her ex-husband. She didn't take her new position lightly. Check out this interaction between her and George. George plans on trying to get Sarah's felony choking charges dropped after she assaulted him.
I'm going to go to court and I'm going to tell the judge, listen, my fiance has nothing to do with it. It's all my fault.
We're going to fast forward through this part. Like I said, I will be linking this down in the show notes. And we also have our own video on this incident when the police came out. And this is for fair play use. And if you want to watch this video in its entirety, it's really good. I suggest you do go over to this person's channel and check it out. She does go back and talks a lot about the interrogation and past arrests.
Rejecting the court's 15-year plea deal? Or was it worth the gamble?
And if you were found guilty, the lowest permissible sentence that the court could levy in this case would be 22.5 years in the Department of Corrections. Do you understand that? Ma'am, understanding the state's offer, do you wish to accept or reject the state's offer to resolve this case?
Sure.
Well, after all, Sarah did tell us that she excels at everything. Maybe she wanted to take the full 25 years to life gamble instead of admitting the obvious and serving significantly less time.
So
I thought it was very funny that this channel pointed out about was that gamble where she had to prove her point. You know, she could have got 15 years. Was her lifetime gamble worth it? Because life in Florida is life. It's not like life after 50 years. It's not life after 10 years. Life is life. So Sarah Boone is doing life, and it's very doubtful she's going to get any type of appeal. Although Sarah Boone's a very lucky person. She's one of those people that just somehow gets break after break after break after break. And Sarah's one of those people, so she might get it. She might. But let's keep going. I thought it was very interesting. The same creator has a video about Brian Boone and how on earth did Sarah Boone even wrap Brian Boone around her finger to create, you know, it was her ex-husband, her family, her to even have a child with.
Reading her Bible and helping fellow inmates pass time. Let's talk about the former husband, Brian Boone. Brian seems like a really great dad. We wish him and Lucas the best of luck. He no longer has to provide shelter.
That now that they're Sarah's convicted, that Brian's divorced and doesn't have to pay her alimony anymore and has moved to a different city. So, I mean, I don't know. Her getting life is probably the best thing that could have happened for Brian.
For Sarah,
I don't want to say for Lucas because I don't want to take somebody's child away from him, but probably for her son too. It's probably the safest space for him to, even if he's going to even have a relationship with her, to her be behind bars where she can't hurt him, physically at least.
He flees, and he has an extra $1,000 to get a nice new lady and move on. But before he does, we want to talk about his sugar daddy behavior. And exactly what did Brian and Sarah discuss that dreadful night? We've all wondered what kind of person could deal with Sarah for over 20 years. Maybe they have the same sense of humor. After all, Sarah has made us all laugh over the past 4 years. There was lots of evidence left out during Sarah Boone's trial. Ironically, Sarah had previously been informed about the danger of being trapped in a suitcase. Brian and Sarah were both educated by Child Family Services and local authorities after posting a photo to Facebook in 2017. Brian and Lucas were joking as they packed for a trip to North Carolina for summer.
This is the suitcase photo that I've talked about a few times where Lucas, you can hardly see it on this. I can't make it bigger. I've tried this before. But you can see this is Brian right here. And this is Lucas and the suitcase. This is where I think Sarah got the idea.
It was harmless, but maybe family and friends were concerned. This was just 3 years before the incident with George, so to say she didn't know the dangers just wouldn't be true. Sarah was afraid Brian would expose her during this investigation or trial. But he didn't. Why did Brian enable Sarah? Why didn't he get full custody of Lucas? Why was he her savior? Listen to this interrogation with scoundrel detectives Chelsea and Scott. Let's watch Brian struggle between saving Sarah or exposing her. Listen close because it gets good.
For me, I think it's quite obvious that Brian has some of his own psychological issues. You know, he has some kind of trauma that would allow him to allow a woman to treat him that way. And, you know, it's like once she became the mother of his child, it's like, I think it was even worse for him because he just wanted his child to be happy. I mean, sometimes parents don't understand that removing a child from a parent is the best thing to do. But yeah, when you have your own mental health issues that you're struggling with, and then you're dealing with Sarah Boone, can you imagine? Oh, what a nightmare that would. Oh, yeah. For me, I think the best thing for Brian is where Sarah is.
In my unmarked agency vehicle in front of 4748 France Lane, apartment number 3 in Winter Park, Florida. Also in the car with me is my partner,
Scott Lowen, Sheriff Office.
And your name, sir?
Brian, 75.
Okay. So, Brian, to my understanding, you were called over here. So can you just take me back to this morning and your involvement with Sarah, which is your ex-wife?
Yes, yes. We've been divorced about a year. I called her. I called her at, let's see here, I was probably 23 or so when we met.
Oh, wow.
Something like that.
Since you were 23?
Yeah.
We're going to pop forward. If you want to listen to Brian's interrogation, I will put the link for that and the link for this video also.
Thingy, I don't know, it's something that I look like kind of for his height or something, I think. And like back before we got divorced, that at
Done. Or will Brian miss those late night calls when Sarah babbled to be rescued and spent the night with him? Let's watch Sarah demonstrate how she supposedly got George in the suitcase that fateful night.
Mr. Torres is being notoriously known for doing things. You described your ex-husband, Brian Boone.
Okay. So we had a conversation.
Sorry, go ahead.
That is kind of normal for her to call you late at night or just kind of whenever she's under the influence and she's kind of just babbling on.
Sarah is digging her claws in a new victim at her new home. All I can say is, I know Brian is glad that chapter is done. Or will Brian miss those late night calls when Sarah babbled to be rescued and spent the night with him? Let's watch Sarah demonstrate how she supposedly got George in the suitcase that fateful night.
Mr. Torres is being notoriously known for doing things. You described your ex-husband, Brian Boone, notorious for doing things like nagging and calling all the time. You remember your testimony calling people notorious for doing things?
Yes.
What would you say people would say you're notorious for?
I don't know.
And you would not answer Brian Boone, your ex-husband's phone calls, just so that you could let him know that you're busy and you have things going on, correct?
I knew that at whatever time it was that he was calling me, that he could wait for the few moments of me getting up to where Lucas gets out of school at 3 o'clock.
Okay. But you would return his call. You would let him call several times, correct?
That day, yes.
Okay. How about other days? Would he have to call to remind you to get Lucas on other days?
He wasn't reminding me. He was just making sure that Lucas was covered for a pickup or drop off.
When we pulled the suitcase out earlier, the paper clip was not attached. So now the prosecutor has attached the paper clip. We don't know if that's the way it was attached.
No. Not even a paper clip.
We don't know if that's the proper way that it was attached. But he's asking her now to pull.
Is there an objection?
Yes.
Can we see how it was that the two zipper parts were positioned when you say that Mr. Torres was able to get his hand out?
I use zippers regularly, yes.
If you want me to do it, I'm fine to take your direction.
No.
From what I remember, this is how the suitcase. This is how the suitcase goes. This was up here. This was not this hard either. So this was like here.
Okay.
Right here.
Oh, right there, ma'am?
Sure.
I assume this one was much closer. It's not over there? Where do you?
You asked me where I zipped it.
When you say that it was zipped shut, show us.
Are you talking about how I zipped it or?
When you're done zipping it shut and he's inside of it, where are the zipper components?
Just tell me what it's at.
I mean, it was the corner. I mean, the corner was cut open. I mean, it's not. Yes, this one was on the bench. Yes. From what I can remember. That's how he was coming with his hand out. It was like this from the corner part.
Okay. Thank you. You can return to your seat.
And keeping in mind, she
Did you
did
ever
that all
change
in front of
the
George's
position
family.
of those zippers once you put it in that position?
I did not.
So keeping in mind that that all happened right in front of poor George's, her victim's family. And so speaking of George, I wanted to look at his family and at the sentencing and then a quick interview. And then I do have Pablo, what's his name? Pablo, Jumpsuit Pablo, talking about what will Sarah survive in prison, if you guys want to look at that too. So let's keep it moving. Be sure to give this live a thumbs up for me, guys. Helps me go out onto the algorithm.
Please.
And also, if you could share my content, that helps me out tremendously.
Ma'am, good afternoon. Could you state and spell your name for the record for us?
Over on YouTube, you can share it now to your community section. Facebook, you can share it to your page. And Twitch, I think you can share it to your page too.
Okay. Ma'am, you can go ahead.
I just want to tell Sarah Boone that I don't hate her for what she did. And I always remember that evening when that lady came into my door and she knocked at the door. And she asked for my name. I tell her my name. And then she said, "Can I come in?" I said, "Okay, yes." And she told me to sit down. I never think that was going to be my son. And then she said my son was dead. Since that day, I can't sleep. It's hard for me to remember that moment. My son is not here no more. She don't only kill my son, she killed a father, a brother, an uncle. It's been hard on my family because all the brothers, they will always work together. But now it's like something real. Love is missing. Sometimes when I look out the window, I'm waiting for him to come and say, "Mom, I love you." She was always there. She called and called me. I missed us, Mommy. The last time that I talked to him was at 12 o'clock in January, New Year. He came to my bed and said, Mom, he woke me up and I said, Mom, I love you. Happy New Year. And since that day, I don't see him no more. He was my son. I love him. And I miss him a lot. And my family miss him a lot too. But I don't hear. But you know what? I was blessed. She ain't gonna be blessed like me because I have my son. I raised him. I have his children, my granddaughter, my grandson, and she don't gonna be able to have that. And I did. I raised him. He wasn't perfect, but he was a good son. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. State anything further from this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Defense?
No, sir.
Thank you. You may call your next victim impact statement.
Jorge Torres.
His family had such class and decorum.
Ma'am, could you state and spell your name for the record for us, please?
Victoria Torres. My name is Victoria Torres. George is my brother. Unfortunately, my family has experienced two horrifying tragedies. I just want to make it clear that George deserves justice. As far as my other brother and Sarah deserve to rot in jail. Sarah has caused a lifetime of pain, a lifetime of horrible images, a lifetime of hearing my brother George plead for his life. This is just this moment for all of you. For me and my family, it's forever. Such a simple thing as using a suitcase is so triggering. I try not to close it all the way. I leave at least like 2 or 3 inches for the zipper. And it might sound crazy, but it just helps me. She really has flipped my family's life upside down. And I just hope that we can truly get justice for my brother. And I just want to tell the team, thank you so much for everything they did. Thank you.
Thank you. State anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes.
Thank you.
Your Honor, could we see if Ms. Anna Torres has been able to make it online?
Every time I see this shot right here, I am just so amazed on how much his children, this is his son and that's his daughter, look so much like him. Like that could be him right there.
Do not see.
George, who had been healthy and not an alcoholic. It's his dad, his son, of course. Yeah, it just amazes me, and it makes me sad too at the same time.
And Anna Torres in the lobby, sir. I have lots of guests. HHSA, Mr. Beck, Lana Albert, Jason Gunn.
So that was the family, and the judge answered that by saying Sarah Boone, I hope your final words were worth it, because my friend, you get life. And life means life in Florida. I'm gonna drill that home, you guys. Life means life in Florida. So, Sarah Boone, you earned yourself life. Your last word, your need for your 15 minutes of fame, it got you life. Life, 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 life. La 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 la. Life. Sorry.
2 years ago in Winter Park, Florida.
And this is Suitcase Sarah's family, George Torres's family did an interview with Banfield, and I wanted to take a peek at that.
George Torres was zipped into a suitcase by his girlfriend. Why Sarah Boone did that? She says it was a game of hide and seek, but she's going to have to tell that to a jury. Because she whipped out her phone afterwards and videotaped him begging for his life as he slowly suffocated. Up until now, his parents have not spoken, his family has not spoken, but tonight they are. I'm joined by the reporter who got that interview for us, News Nation.
And it showed how classy they were, that they just remained quiet through it all. And I wondered why they hadn't spoke, but I think they were like waiting to be spoken to, because they're like, well, nobody's spoken to us. So I mean, they're so respectful for towards Sarah Boone, but Sarah Boone, no respect, no class.
National correspondent.
Because she spent all her time in the mall trolling for boys with her own money, of course. She even spoke condescending when she was 18 years old.
Alex Capriello, he joins me live. That trial is coming up July 4th, and you are hearing exclusively from the parents. What did they tell you about what they know about the case?
Yeah, it really dawned on me, Ashley, that there's been so much attention on Sarah Boone, so much focus on the bizarreness of this trial that perhaps no one has ever really taken time to speak to the Torres family. And it turns out my suspicions were correct. Within the 3 years since Sarah was arrested, they haven't spoken to any national or local media outlets, had the chance to say their side of the story. So we sat down at their kitchen table and they really just opened up to me all about who George was, what he meant to their family, and also, of course, his relationship with Sarah, which, by the way, they never approved of. But interestingly, Ashley, George's mother tells me that she has a great deal of sympathy for Sarah, because if she is convicted, she'll never have the opportunity to raise her son like she did with her many children. Take a listen.
He was a good son. He wasn't perfect, but he was a good son. And every time that he come here, every time, he just stand in that wall and he said, Mom, I love you. Mom, I love you. I said, I know you love me. They come and give me a hug. And then he looked at his father and he said, Pop, you're my hero. You're my hero. He was a father. He was my son. He was an uncle. He was a cousin. And he was a friend. I was a nephew. She don't kill only my son. I feel sad for her. I don't feel sorry. I feel sad. And I don't hate her. Really, I don't. I don't have that in my heart. I never hate nobody.
Gosh, so powerful to sit there with her as she explained more about her son. Interestingly, she said that she's never seen that cell phone video that shows George locked up in that briefcase, or I'm sorry, that suitcase. She says she has no intent. intention of seeing it, but she will be there at the trial seeking justice.
It's going to play at the trial. I hope they give her a big advance warning because it is hard for us to watch it. I can't imagine a mother.
Ugh, sir, you guys, Junie is being very vocal, and so I just realized that I had my microphone off that whole time. I'm sorry, you guys. Oh, okay. So this is jumpsuit Pablo. He was in prison, and he is going to start talking about what Sarah Boone's life is like in prison, because I don't know about you, when I get upset about things, I like to take comfort in that maybe her life isn't going to be so nice and comfy cozy because she's in Florida for life. Life is life. And Jumpsuit did some time in prison, and in this video he talks about Marcy Marie, who I talk about here. I do enjoy her page. It's the Prison Rock Yard or something like, or that's her podcast. Her page is Marcy Marie. She was in the Texas prison for like 3 to 10 years or something like that. She was in there long enough to know how it goes, and that kind of like what Sarah's life is like. And last night I couldn't sleep, and that's when I found this, and I did email Marcy Marie to see if she would come on our show, because I would love to interview Marcy Marie about the Menendez brothers, because I think I'm going to start covering them. And she has this really fun video or live where she was sitting in Rosie O'Donnell's house, but Rosie O'Donnell wasn't there. Rosie O'Donnell was somewhere else, but she was interviewing Rosie O'Donnell while she was sitting in Rosie O'Donnell's house, but Rosie O'Donnell wasn't there. And they were talking about the Menendez brothers. So I would really like to interview Marcy Marie. And so we're going to watch this video. I've only watched bits and pieces of it, so it's going to be kind of fresh for me too. It's about 14 minutes. Of course, we'll stop and start it. And yeah. Here we go. Be sure to give this live a thumbs up, guys. And also, are you a dragonfly? That reminds me. Are you a dragonfly? Are you wondering what the heck is a dragonfly? Well, the Dragonfly is the membership program over on YouTube. I release all my videos early to the Dragonflies I give shout outs. We have a Dragonfly of the month. This month's Dragonfly is Sherry K. Congratulations, Sherry K. When we have merch, merch will be reduced for the Dragonflies. It's just a way for you to support me and me to support you back. And it's $2.99 a month. And here's a little information on the Dragonfly membership. And I will put the link down in the chat if you want to join. We would love to have you. And if you're not subscribed, why are you not subscribed? I would really, really, really love to have you as a power subscriber. If you really like my content, be sure to become a Dragonfly, and that's our membership, and it's $2.99 a month. I release all my videos early. We have special emojis over in the chat room. I kind of share things ahead of time with my Dragonflies, and I go live sometimes just for the Dragonflies. It's a way that I can support you guys and give you more content, and it's a way for you to support our channel. It's $2.99 a month, and I would love to have you. Okay, I thought the link would have been thrown up, but it wasn't. I will look for it and get it up there before the end of this live. Oh, Junie. Junie doesn't like any of the toys that I make for him. He likes the makeshift toys. And one of my makeshift toys is an actual hanger. A hanger with some of his toys hanging off of it, so he'll actually play with it. It can be a real pain in the butt, but here's the link right here. Maybe if we can just have some links set up and ready to go for memberships and the Amazon. But here is the link for the Dragonflies. And if you like Dragonflies, I am working on some Dragonfly merch. So that should be tons of fun. I'm also looking for a few artists because I would like some art for our t-shirts and stuff like that. You don't have to be the best artist in the world. In fact, I prefer your art to be a little glitchy and a little off and a little different. So if you think that's something you might like to do for us, we would love that too. Okay, so the Dragonfly links is always in the show notes. So if you're ever struggling, just go over to any one of our show notes, any of our shows, and it's all in there. You can just grab it from there. And I've been putting everything in the beginning too, but we'll talk about it later. We'll get it situated. Absolutely no worries. And we ended up getting it up there because, you know, I can talk. I got the windpipes. I can keep it going until I pull it up. Okay, so let's get back into this. Enough of my housekeeping. Here we go.
In prison in the state of Florida about 2 days ago. Okay. Now I'm someone, if you're new to the channel and this is your first time tuning in, I have served 10 years in prison before, obviously not in a women's prison, but I'm going to give kind of my experience as well as just what I've learned from speaking to a female former inmate who had a 20-year sentence about women's prisons and kind of how that works, as well as another creator who served their time in Florida prison and how they feel specifically about Sarah Boone's likely experience. Will she survive? Will she, you know, I guess you can't say, will she make it out alive? If you have a life without parole, you're not going to, but you kind of get what I mean. But before we jump into that, if you weren't there for the sentencing 2 days ago, it was pretty wild. Okay. I mean, on the serious kind of heartbreaking note, I mean, we heard testimony, impact statements from Mr. Torres's family, talking about just things that I had never even considered when hearing and learning about this case.
Just as a side note, I have never heard such a brutal statement made by a schmurderer in my life. I can't think of anyone's worse than Sarah Boone's. Sorry,
Specifically the suitcase. His family member mentioned every time they use a suitcase, it kind of triggers them and makes them think about this, and they can't even use one without breaking down.
Sarah has caused a lifetime of pain, a lifetime of horrible images.
So we do put the link to everything down in the description. We will pop forward and get past the families, talking about the family, but then he starts talking about some funny things. He talks about the people that stood up for Sarah, and it kind of cracked me up.
And save the day for Sarah and get her, she'll be off scot-free. You know what? The judge will have no choice but to sentence you to 0 days in jail after hearing this riveting witness character testimony about what a good person you are.
Yeah, right. After all the judge that witnessed it and had to endure Sarah Boone, Sarah gets somebody standing up and saying, if she would get out, I would give her my kidney. So like, what were they trying to say? Like, if you'll only let Sarah out, somebody would get a kidney, but because you're not letting Sarah out, no kidney for you from this alcoholic woman. I mean, I'm sure.
Enter several former inmates who were locked up with Sarah. Like, they had one lady on there. I'm going to show you some footage of this. They had one lady on there. She was like, oh yeah, I knew Sarah from B Block. We used to play Go Fish together, and sometimes she would give me her extra slice of cheese from my biscuit in the morning. She a real good person, Judge. Let her go. Don't be too hard on her now. What are you talking about? What kind of... Like, you would have been better off not having anybody come up there.
Sarah's such a good person. She'd give us her biscuit or even her kidney.
And speak on your behalf. If this is who you're going to have, take a look at some of this.
Ma'am, come on up if you can. Raise your right hand. Madam Clerk's going to go ahead and swear you in.
solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give will be the truth and whole truth.
Ma'am, if you could state and spell your name for the record for us.
Christina Pena, Christina Pena.
You may inquire, sir.
How old are you?
31.
And where do you live?
Orlando.
Now, it's my understanding, Ms. Pena, that you were in the county jail with Sarah Boone.
Oh.
How long were y'all in the same cell together?
Yes. Well,
What kind of
I was
witness
in
is
there
this?
for 4 years, but we're together for 3.
And I understand ultimately the charges against you were dismissed. And so you were released on what?
April 4th this year.
She was always real nice, Judge. She'd give me a biscuit in the morning. She's a changed woman.
I've been out for like 6 or so months now. Yeah, since April. Sarah's one of my best friends, my only.
Well, that's a sad existence there, ma'am.
Take your time.
She's helped me a lot.
I would say
Usually
she's
in, like,
better
growing
than Nelson
and,
Mandela.
She can't even get it out without her insides churning.
And I would help her with, with hers too. We're both, justice is not what it is. I don't know how.
Bless you.
Oh, wow,
We both
man.
helped each other out.
My heart is touched. I tell you.
Any questions, State?
Thanks,
Thank you.
Lefty, or whatever your prison name is. Thanks, Sticks McGee. Bertha.
Biscuit.
You may proceed, sir.
So briefly tell us a little bit about yourself.
I met Sarah in jail.
Kidney pie.
Went through a lot of unfortunate circumstances.
Girl, you know I got you. I'll show up to court for you as soon as I get out.
And when would that have been? You recall the dates?
Yes, it was April.
I just couldn't understand
year.
why
2020.
nobody came forward in Sarah Boone, but now we see that her brother was one of her brothers in prison for child offenses, and I don't know where her other brother is. He's just MIA, and her parents aren't alive, and so she's got her prison friends speaking up for her now.
Boy.
And also, I need to correct myself. The kidney the person that was the kid needs a kidney. During my last live, I called that person a he, and apparently I misgendered them and it was a she. Somebody corrected me in my comments. She just had a very deep voice.
Mel, our relationship with Sarah Boone over the course of that 3 months.
Yes, yes. We met when I was going to the B dorm.
We met in B dorm. Right? Let her go. Scott Frey. Wow, I have no choice but to cut you loose, Sarah Boone. I mean,
What?
come on. Absolutely.
Wait a minute.
ridiculous.
You met her in B dorm? Oh, well. If it would have been C dorm, I would have, maybe cut 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes off her sentence. But B dorm, let's let her go. She gets to go. You get out. You were in B dorm.
But anyway, she was sentenced to life without parole in prison. Justice served as much as it
And
can.
also, sometimes over on this channel, I just have to laugh about things, because if we don't laugh, if you don't keep that snarky Gen X humor, this stuff will make you go insane. Yeah, Sarah Boone, if I don't laugh at her, I will punch the screen. So she gets my humor.
And be. So what's life
I need
going to be
my
like for
screen.
Sarah Boone? Most likely in prison. Well, I can tell you this. I mean, from speaking with, if you're familiar with Marcy Marie Simmons, she's a creator, mainly on TikTok and Instagram. She had a 20-year sentence in Texas women's prison. And I've actually interviewed her once and spoken to her several times just about this subject, and even specifically Sarah Boone. There isn't really the kind of violence going on in these women's prisons. I mean, of course it happens, but, that you would really associate when you think of men's prisons, all the shanking, with the homemade prison knives and weapons and just beat downs for looking at me the wrong way and all of that. It's rare. It's a very different environment in the women's prisons from what I gather. And even speaking with Pino,
I'm having some weather issues, and so I am getting a notification that StreamYard is having problems streaming over to Facebook. So if anything starts happening over on YouTube, just be aware that there's another storm rolling through.
fellow YouTuber on here. He's got a very large following and audience. And him serving his time in prison even told me, of course he did his in a men's prison, but he is good friends with several women who have spent a good amount of time in the Florida state women's prisons. And so from all this, it seems nowhere near that amount of violence. And I don't think Sarah Boone will get, beat up every day of her life, right? It seems the most violence in there occurs, which still is not that often, more for like domestic reasons, because there are a lot of female and female relationships back there. A lot of girls, whether they're already into girls or they just eventually become into girls, they got kind of relationship drama, and there will be a lot of physical fights about that. But other than that, there's not really a lot of violence back there, and I don't see Sarah Boone getting shanked to death in the bathroom shower. You know what I mean? Sarah Boone, and we kind of see this with the female inmates who came and testified on her behalf as to how great, what a cool inmate she was. She's so great. She talks to me. She helps me all of that. Help you with what?
I think that if you have to go to prison, being a female, going to the female prison would be much more comfortable than going to a male prison. So I don't think Sarah Boone's going to have it that horrible. And I think Sarah Boone will be in her element. I think Sarah Boone's really afraid though, because Sarah Boone was been in this jail, for 5 years now? She's like queen bee. She's top of the food chain right now. And she's about to go back down to the bottom.
But, she probably will get along. I think the thing that may cause her the most issues is just her personality and her attitude. It's not going to be her charges. I do a lot of these videos about what is someone's prison experience going to be like whenever you have a big name in the courts and they get sentenced to go to prison. I always kind of make this type of video. And usually we're talking about a man who did something, that may involve women, children, those kinds of crimes. And so there's a lot to talk about and dissect there. It's not really the case here. The women are not really going to have, the inmates there are not going to really have a problem with her charge. There's probably a lot of women in there for similar charges. There's women in there for, subjectively worse charges that you would probably have the opinion on.
I don't think they're
nothing-
going to have a problem with her charge. I think they're going to have a problem with her attitude, the way she conducts herself. I just don't think it will rub people well. It doesn't
really
rub
happens.
anybody well.
To them because of the charges. I think it's, in prison, I think no matter what your charges are, you are what's going to dictate how people treat you, and if anything, any harm is going to come your way, and just what your real experience is going to be like. That really comes down to how you socialize.
She doesn't even have to have life. She didn't even need to have life. She could have just got 15 years, but Sarah Boone worked herself into life. Sarah Boone's that A+ student that worked herself into life.
How you conduct yourself, how you move about, and prison politic with the inmates around you. Okay. And Sarah, I mean, it seems, she made a few friends here. I don't know for what purpose or what reason these former inmate ladies showed up to talk about what a great person Sarah Boone was. But
I would think for that 15 minutes of their own fame, maybe.
I could see her getting on some nerves real fast. Because here's the thing, jail, where Sarah's been this whole time, much, much different than state prison. Okay, much different. I would argue that a lot of the inmates there, they've been there a long time, and there's just a much lower threshold and tolerance for the kind of BS that comes along with Sarah Boone, if you know anything about Sarah Boone and just how she is. Okay. I can see her getting old real fast, getting on a lot of nerves, and I wouldn't be surprised. Bottom line, what it comes down to, I wouldn't be surprised if she got roughed up once or twice, a pretty good bit in there. Aside from that, I think she's going to have a long time to do in there. She won't meet her demise at the hands of another inmate. And that'll be that. She'll be forgotten about. She'll probably try appeals, which, actually she won't. Now that I say that,
She for sure is going to try appeals, but the only way she's going to get an appeal is if they really mess something up, like they didn't do something by the book. That's the only way.
The judge already ruled there.
Although, I mean, I often worry that because in the final, like the judge didn't give her that one more lawyer, like somehow she's going to fight that. I'm not a lawyer, obviously, so I don't know if she has a leg to stand on, but she might
be a retrial, actually. So it's just, Sarah's going to do something, because that's what Sarah does. She writes letters. She's made flyers, advertisements that have gone viral. That's what she does. She can't sit still. She can't leave, well enough alone. She can't let anything lie. And so she's going to be messing around, doing crap, making little noise where she can for as long as she can. But I believe Sarah Boone will ultimately just fade off. Everyone will forget about her. She will be forgotten about, and she'll serve the rest of her life, however long that'll be, in prison. Do I think it's going to be a living hell in there? No. I think women's prisons are in comparison to men's, they're a lot less dangerous. And it's a lot easier to just kind of be in there and do your time. And if her haircut is any indicator, I don't know what way Sarah swings, if it's just men, if now it's women, or both. If we ask her haircut, I would say she will be gay for the stay, because let me tell you, that is a handsome haircut. It's very similar to mine.
What do you guys think? I think she already had it. I think it's already been rumored that she already has a boy or girlfriend in there. So, yeah, that's what we have for today's show with Miss Sarah Boone. When I saw her on that Nickelodeon game show, I knew I had to bring it to you to show you Sarah Boone before Sarah Boone. I can't imagine screwing myself into a life sentence. I mean, you've got to be some kind of piece of work, and right there, the mouth got her in. Her mouth did it for her. So, yeah. Okay, guys, thank you so much, Heavenly, for coming in and moderating. Thank you, Rebrand, for coming and hanging out. Thank you to you who's listening, but just is hanging out in the shadows, which is just okay. But be sure to click that thumbs up button for me. And hey to you, my replay crew, I love you. Okay, guys, I'm going to go. If nobody's told you this today, and even if they have, I'm still going to tell you this. I love you guys so, so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Now let's see. John, understand you collect baseball cards.
Yes.
Gosh, how many do you have in your collection?
I don't know, about 200.
About 200. And how long did it take you to accumulate a collection that size?
About 3 years.
About 3 years. Wow, that's an awesome collection. Your partner there, Sarah, likes to hang out at the mall. Now, what do you do while you're just hanging at the mall, Sarah?
Well, check out guys and spend money.
Check out the dudes and spend the cash. Your cash or like parents' cash?
Mine.
Hey.
Zebra, zip code, and zipper.
Let's take a look. Well, that's it, yeah. Name the type of orange that sounds like a belly button. Yes, red team.
Navel orange.
Navel it is. Yeah, there you are. The time left, you will go and battle Scortia in the wizard level. Now, for each level you get past, you will get a great prize. For each item you pick up, you will get...
Welcome to Parawomenradio. I'm Amy.
Carefully strumming this old guitar, words rolling out into the fire. Never ask why my heart burned blue. Here in the haze where you inspire me. Here in the darkness I hear my cue. Time to find some solitude. Here where my soul bleeds openly, deep in the heart of sin and you. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep into you. Here in the blue, I'm dancing with you tonight, and it feels fine. Carefully strumming this old guitar again, words rolling out